We are joined by a very special guest today, Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, who of course is running for president and is here to talk to us about a little bit of politics, but really we just want to get to know more about you, Congresswoman. So welcome to TMZ-LIVE.
Welcome.
As we say in Hawaii, aloha.
Yes.
Best way to start.
Aloha.
I'm very conversant. Aloha back to you.
I feel warmer already.
Exactly.
I want to start with something that happened over the weekend because I found it very interesting. You're very strongly pro-choice.
Yes.
Alyssa Milano came out over the weekend and she advocated something that's actually rooted in Greek literature. She was protesting the law in Georgia that severely limits the right to get an abortion after a heartbeat. And she said, we should, as women, deny sex until, because she said there's no other way of protecting ourselves because a lot of women don't know until after 6 weeks that they're pregnant.
Yeah.
It got a lot of attention. I'm curious what you think about it.
Well, I think she's shining a light on this law that Georgia recently passed that, I mean, is clearly unconstitutional and violates Roe v. Wade, violates a woman's right to choose. I think it's important that people like Alyssa Milano and others in Hollywood are speaking through their example, their actions, their business decisions in protesting that law that was passed. And Georgia's not the only state that's done this.
There are 3 others,
There are a few others as well.
So you said something about people in Hollywood using their voice.
Yeah.
There have been some studios that have said they will boycott production. And Georgia, of course, is a huge place for film production right now. So you're advocating that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important that as we, not only those of us who are working in the political realm or in public service, but each of us in this country, whatever industry or position or profession that you have, to be able to use that platform to help influence the kinds of decisions that are being made that stand up for freedom in this country, in this case, a woman's right to choose.
One of the things I found so interesting about you is that you are a lifelong passionate surfer.
Yeah.
and you're also very strong on environmental issues.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people think it's political, it's politically rooted.
No.
But I seem to, based on what I've read about you, there's a connection between surfing and your feeling about the environment.
Yeah, I mean, it's the environment, protecting the environment is often a kind of a buzzword that's used in politics or by people running for office. But growing up in Hawaii, such a beautiful place. Literally, I first learned how to swim, taking lessons in the ocean. And so from a very young age, that passion to protect our environment, protect our water, our oceans, and our land was just a part of our way of life there. And it's actually what motivated me to get involved in politics in the first place.
What do you mean?
I ran for office in Hawaii when I was 21 years old and was elected to the State House of Representatives. And it was that passion for protecting the environment and also seeing that there was a lack of folks in office at that time who were making that a priority.
You know, one of the things we like doing on TMZ Live with presidential candidates is kind of getting into how they became who they are. And last week we got Pete Buttigieg out and asked him about rescue dogs and the fact that he chose rescue dogs and whether that's something that connects to being qualified to be president, because of passion, whatnot. I'm wondering with you, because you're very, I mean, your athleticism, that you're so passionate about surfing, is there any connection between somebody who is athletic, competitive, and running for president? I mean, can you connect those dots?
That's not something I've ever thought about, but I think for me personally, having just such a deep sense of appreciation for our environment, for that experience and going and jumping in the ocean, that connection to Mother Nature, I think is very important as we understand how critical it is that we protect our environment.
I'm going to make you go out on a limb. Best surfer, is it Kelly Slater?
Of course.
That's not a limb, right?
No.
The limb would have been if she said anybody else.
That's not a controversial statement.
I want to ask you something about surfing. I ask everyone, my friends here in California who surf. I don't. I really would like to.
Yes.
How do you deal with fear of, I mean, I guess you grew up in the water, so do you ever think about sharks?
I don't.
How do you not think about it?
Because when you jump in the ocean, there's a whole lot of animals and marine life that call that ocean home. And so there's
that's that's my
Right.
that's my point.
No, but the
You're
point
an
is,
intruder.
right? So if you're going in and respecting that, then I think that's what's important. You also have to understand that there is a higher likelihood of you walking down the street getting hit
know.
by a car
I know.
than getting bit by a shark. They don't even really like human beings
No,
as meals.
I believe that they don't like it, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's too late by the time they realize that you're not a SEAL.
Yeah, no, it's
So it's not something
no
you fear.
fear.
no, that's not something I think about. I highly encourage you getting in the water because it is.
If I
truly
lived in
something
Hawaii,
else.
it might be easier. The
It's a
water
little
is a
cold
lot
here.
warmer.
This is his entree in moving to Hawaii.
Yeah.
What about, you got involved in show business at the beginning. I mean, you were involved in a production company.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
And your
growing
husband's
up,
a cinematographer?
he is. I had no interest in politics whatsoever. The 5 kids in our family, I was by far the most shy and introverted one. And I started out in community college studying TV and film production, thinking
Why?
that's
What drew you to it?
I was really interested in the power of that medium and being able to tell stories, and to be able to help impact people's lives and bring voice to people or issues that really were not being focused on.
I just thought of something. Your fellow Hawaiian Barack Obama literally did the reverse of you, politics and then movies.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
We are sitting here with our special guest today, Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii, and who is running for president. So we've been talking a lot about Hawaii. We've been talking about your surfing,
Yeah.
and you started in politics there, and there were I guess your ideas have evolved on a particular topic, and that is LGBTQ rights.
Yeah.
Because in Hawaii, you had voted for some measures that were anti-LGBTQ.
Yeah.
But that's changed now.
Well, and we should say, I mean, opposing same-sex marriage, and there were other bills that and I guess your dad was very much involved in
also
an
in
organization.
politics,
Yeah.
What changed?
Well, I was raised in a pretty socially conservative family, and bottom line up front, held views back then when I was very young that I no longer hold today. My record throughout my time in Congress for over 6 years is a reflection of that evolution, that change of heart in standing up and fighting for equality for all Americans.
Well, is there
for-
something? Was it a light bulb moment? Did something just evolve? How did it? Because it's a significant change.
Yeah, well, there's a number of things that happened, but really through both of my deployments to the Middle East, I saw there the dangers and the negative consequences of what happens when you have a government that attempts to act as a moral arbiter for their people, saying, well, this is the way that you must live your life. This is what is quote unquote acceptable in society there. And also serving alongside LGBTQ Americans, being in the trenches, both in training as well as downrange, and knowing that I would give my life for them, and I know they would give their life for me. Coming home with those experiences and truly understanding what it means to fight for freedom, to fight for equality, and to make sure that that is not something that I just hold in my own heart, but as a policymaker, that is a commitment that I've carried out on. And
Your fellow Democrat, Pete Buttigieg, is running. He is gay, and we talk about this a lot in the office. What do you think the temperature of this country is for him in terms of people turning away from him because he's gay? What do you think the barometer?
Well, I think if you look at some folks, for example, the current occupant of the White House and others, you're seeing, unfortunately, a lot of hate and discrimination and bigotry. But I think by and large, when you look across the country, there has been a significant change. The fact that we are continuing to push for in Congress and making it a foremost issue to fight for things like the Equality Act, a bill that I've co-sponsored, bringing to the forefront the fact that discrimination against LGBTQ Americans still takes place in the workplace, in those who are seeking housing, in education. I mean, these are things that weren't even discussed some time ago. So progress has been made, but there's no question that there's still a lot of work to do ahead of us.
I wanted to ask you something. We were talking about Mayor Pete, and when he was here, I asked him this, and I, for obvious reasons, should ask you as well. How do you convince the American people? And I said this to him, that I actually don't think him being gay is his biggest obstacle. I think the biggest thing is going to be his age. And for most Americans to say that someone who is in their late 30s can be president of this country. So to that you would say?
Look to my experience, my over 16 years of serving in the Army National Guard, 2 deployments to the Middle East, working in Congress for over 6 years on the Foreign Affairs and the Armed Services Committees, and recognizing that the most important job that the president has is to serve as Commander-in-Chief.
I'm just really struck by something. A, you make me feel super old. And B, but it's so interesting to me that it used to only be these white, gray men. And it's so different. I mean, this country has so changed. And it's a good thing. And it's not like an endorsement or anything else, but it's just a good thing that this whole system is opened up.
It is. And you know what's interesting? I think it's coming full circle, because when you look back at the ages of our country's founders, those who wrote our Constitution, who wrote the Declaration of Independence, they would be considered millennials today. Most of them were under the age of 30. And they had this great vision for our country, that we would have a representative government of, by, and for the people. And I think it's only right that now we're seeing in 2020, where you'll have millennials be the largest voting demographic of any age group, fighting to make it so that our government is truly for the people, because that's really, to me, what's been so lost, and why we find ourselves dealing with these perennial challenges that we're dealing with today.
It's really a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming by.
I have one very important question. This is not about policy.
All right.
How quickly could you teach me to surf?
I could get you.
Let's say I'm fairly, I know a lot of people don't believe this.
I can answer this question.
Oh gosh.
Here we go.
I'm fairly athletic, I'm fit.
We could get you on a board, standing up on a wave on your first day. It's going to be a bigger board.
I have a bigger board. I actually have a board in my house, it's just sitting in the closet. I haven't used it, but.
Yeah, no, it's, go out on a nice day at the right spot. With a bigger
don't
board.
be
like Hawaii.
Oh my God.
I mean, Hawaii is the best. Let's not pretend.
Stop BSing me. Why are you acting
this
like
guy's not going to ever be a surfer?
By the way, I grew up in New York. All right, so I've lived here for 20 years, and I should be able to. You've lived here all your life. How often have you surfed?
I'm in the water all the time.
How often
I
have you surfed?
No, I'm not good at surfing.
Let's continue this conversation.
In Hawaii?
In Hawaii. Yes,
and
I
let's
like
do
this.
an episode taking you guys out for a surf
I'm
at
actually
one of our
not
favorite
I'm not opposed to that at all.
From the Big Island.
I think that's
Seriously,
an offer.
let's do it. Let's do
I'm
it.
open to this.
I'm game.
I am open to this. I will kick your ass.
Oh, really?
Here we
That's what
go.
it's about.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Really,
so much.
really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you coming
So
by.
good to
Thank
talk
you
to you
so
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Aloha.
it.
All right.